Good morning, Bananamators. Today, we're going to be talking about shapes. So today, I asked on Twitter what shows people like in terms of shape language. And I've got a little bit, I don't have a huge Twitter following, but The Secret of Kells was my first thought. And then people are like, yeah, everything Cartoon Saloon has this really rich visual language. It's very based in shapes. It's wonderful if that's what your current area of study is. I've been looking into shape language because I'm not a designer, but I'd like to be better at it. Here we can see they're just the shapes that they use at Cartoon Saloon are things that anybody can draw. Like, this is their first little dude. He's narrower than that and taller than that. Boop. That is a character. Incredible. Then the next guy is taller, like this, and he has a little head on top. But, like, look how simple these shapes are. Every single character looks totally unique. Then you add color on top of it. Like, if I remove the color, it's still very clear who everybody is. The power of silhouette in animation is super powerful. And people, when they push it, and I think television pushes it more than film most of the time, but Cartoon Saloon is one of the exceptions where they're like, oh, this is a cartoon. We're going to push it as far as we want. We're going to break everybody down into simpler and simpler forms. Like in Inside Out, when they go into that like abstraction machine and they start getting broken down, that's what this type of style is. When you see super simple shapes like this, it actually has a huge amount of skill and observation behind it. The subtleties of the difference of the proportions and stuff are actually really difficult. Like, if you try to draw these exactly the way they are just from observation, it would actually make your brain work really hard. You'd be surprised. Love it. And here we just have the monks. So even though they're background characters, every single one is unique. They don't necessarily stand out as interesting characters because they've got these muted gray tones, but even like they didn't just give them all one shape. Like, they've got this huge variety of different, like, this guy's a triangle. I always overcomplicate shapes. I'm like, it can't be as simple as triangle. And Cartoon Saloon is like, yo, triangle. The simplicity of it is incredible. The next one that people mentioned was Samurai Jack. And I know the characters in Samurai Jack are really interesting, but the backgrounds are even more interesting, I think. There's nothing here that a child couldn't draw. All the shapes are very, very simple. It's just circles and rectangles. They've just collected them in ways that are giving you a story, an environment. So they've taken all these very simple shapes. Like, they could cut these out of construction paper and glue them on and make a collage, and you could come up with something like this. It's just layers of very simple shapes stacked on top of each other to give a complexity. And then they're using just very simple, like, this is darker and back here it fades into the background. They're just using atmospheric perspective with 3 layers of things. And I'm not sure if they've duplicated some of them. They might have duplicated the initial shapes and moved them around and stuff, but it's really economical and simple, but it looks so interesting and detailed and complex. Magic. Here's another Samurai Jack background. Now, these are all, they're actually bigger. I'm keeping them very small. I should move them in. But I'm keeping them small because it forces you to see the actual shapes. But this, when you break it down, is just this. That's all that is. And then this is that's all. If you can draw this, you can draw those cliffs. That's all they did. And it hurts my brain because for so long I was like, it has to be harder than that. But it isn't. It makes me so mad. Like, what do you mean triangle? So, like, they just have these little shapes like this, and then they just take the shape. So let's say we do, okay, I'm gonna have some little cliffs back here. Like they have, it's actually this way. See, that's how simple things can be difficult. And then I'm just going to give it a little bit of wiggly wigs like this and add some details. And then maybe, like, we got some little grass and stuff at the top. And some little triangles down here. Give them a little bit of a... And then you just got a C for a beach. Oh my god, I drew a beach! So, like, my recent studies on shapes have made me so upset because I've been trying way too hard and it makes me so angry. What do you mean it's a C? I'm like, use forms, they said. 3-dimensional. Everything has to be in perspective. And Samurai Jack is out here being like, shut up. More Samurai Jack. It's so pretty. Like, look at these little trees. Like, it's just ice. It's just whoop whoop, and then and then yeah, that's all. And then they're just using perspective. They got the 1 point perspective down here. So like, okay, the trees have to kind of follow my perspective down here. And we got some little dots that get smaller as they go back. And then this is just rectangles. And these are like little, this shape with a curly Q. I could draw that. Enraging. When people are good at simple design, I'm just like, how? How? I overcomplicate everything. You're a magician. This is from Inside Out, and I just think it's so fun that they're using just light bulbs to explore how just shape and color can create all of these little things. Like, look at the little heart in here, the little happy heart filament, and this is a squiggly long filament. This is a little twirly maboober. Are you sneezing? Flower light bulb base. Like, they're just putting joy into light bulbs. Art is the best thing that exists. Here we have something that's a little bit more complex. So again, from Inside Out, we've been watching that recently to learn how feelings work because my son is 8 and I don't know how feelings work. I'm like, let's watch this movie and figure it out. So every single one of these is this unique boop boop little thing. And if you break it down into its absolute simplest thing, it gives you these super duper simple shapes when you look far away. And then my son's favorite goofball island. When we were watching this, I said, you have a goofball continent, not a goofball island. And he's like, yes, that is accurate. But look how super duper simple they are. Then they just add other junk on top, like decorations and like little bobbly boobs and squiggly mabobbers. But it's really just super simple shapes that can contrast with one another. Incredible. I love it. And then I had to get this one from Box Trolls because even boxes can have variety in shape and size and proportion that tell a different story. And we have this big dude, he needs 2 boxes because he's so big. And we have this dude who's got a little box because he likes to show off his legs. This guy's smooshed down, but look at it's just little boop, 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 boop. And then you have boop. That's it. That's the secret. It's like, why? So you could just draw a character like Moop, and then you draw a character like, oh, see, I do the same box. Like, I'm so bad at this. Nope. And then he needs a little head. And then you need a wide, like, boom box. And then you can have a little Moop Moop. Like, now you have 3 different characters, right? And they all have to, like, stand kind of close to the same ground plane. That works for animation perspective. And then we could say, oh, like, maybe even, this one should be even shorter. Boop. And maybe this one can be narrower. And then we can have boop, boop, merp. Now we have 3 different characters. And then we can give them a little hat, circle hat, and triangle hat, and a square hat. Now they're different. Bring the Box Trolls tab over and just play with this. Like, look at this different shapes and stuff. How far they're willing to play with these, like, triangle hair tufts. Like, look at these wings. They're like, no bigger wings. Like, you can see that they're playing with just the shapes of the details of the things. But there are a lot of examples, especially I've been working in preschool for a while. There's a lot of shows in preschool that are so shape-oriented, like it's the only thing. There's no details to hide behind. So this is one that I studied in my cartooning 1 when we were in school. He gave us this lineup, and he said, draw these characters. And everybody was like, are you kidding? We're in college. Why are you having to just draw these stupid little characters? I'm cool. I don't need to do this stuff. And then everybody drew them wrong. And he was like, if you can't draw Peep, Chirp, and Quack, how can you draw Ninja Turtle? Bah. He's right. So here we can break these characters down. We have 2 circles. Moopy moop. These aren't the best circles, but the demo. What are we going to do? This guy's face is in the top quarter of his body. There's no face down here. There's no face over here. This character's half face. Half of the face is face. Body is face, right? So when you break the character down, you have to make sure all of the face is over on this half of the body. It doesn't go outside the line here very much. Then this, you can break down, boop, like this. So we've got the top third is not beak, and then we have the beak coming out of the bottom here. So the whole bottom part is beak. And then you have to think about how big is this pupil in relation to this eye, because if you have one scene where you got a character like this and you got the next scene where the character's like this, those are different. And it's like, yeah, obviously those are different, but if you're doing traditional animation, if you do something with little dot eyes and the eyes look like this from that, that's also different. And if you're trying to like keep it consistent, especially if you're doing all the frames yourself, you have to maintain those tiny little sizes on little tiny details like eyeballs and pupil size. And practicing with these types of characters is actually tremendously helpful. So like this jelly bean dude, whoop, he's got quarter of his body where his face is, but it's the top quarter instead of like a pie quarter, right? So whatever way you bend your little bean down, boop, you have to remember that the top quarter is where you keep those, wow, and his little sailor hat. And then the size of his foot compared to the size of his body, like the size of this leg. Like if we break this character down in his little chart, right, we have 1/3 of his body is feet, whereas this character, boop, 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 it's more like half of his body is feet. It's a little bit less than half, looks like in this drawing. But when it comes to shapes, if you're ever in a cartoon class and they're like, just draw lots of circles and squares and triangles, and you're like, this is agonizing because I want to do a dragon. I want to do something complex. But like a dragon, you know, when it comes down to it, could be just shapes. Like, oh, we can turn this into a dragon. Give him some little, he's like a seahorse sort of a dragon. Give him some little wings. Wings can be just a triangle like this, right? And then you add all the little doobly-doos to your triangle and squiggly mabobbers. Right. But the power of shapes is just so much bigger than I thought. And I'm really mad about it. Because I was the person who was fighting it. I was like, I can't draw circles. I need to draw the entire world. And they're just like, everything is just shapes, bro. And I'm like, nah, it's more complex than that. And it isn't. Triangle was the whole. I'm gonna do a lot of shape exercises because I really want to be able to harness this shape thing and the big, medium, and small and the stuff that was so simple. And they're like, Tracy, it's really simple. And I'm like, it can't be. And I fought them. I'm having flashbacks to college. Ugh. I'm just getting started on this stuff. I feel like I don't know anything. I felt my entire life learning about art and trying to get better and better. And I feel like it's an endless source of things to learn. It's great. Don't be intimidated by that. Imagine if you ran out of fun. Ugh. Oh, how awful. The fact that there is still so much more to learn, even this, like, I'm 38. I started when I was 2. I went to college when I was 20. So even if we just start at 20, when I actually had somebody to help me, I've still been learning for 18 years. And there's still so much more to learn. There's no finish line. Don't rush. You can't run out. There's always more. So like, just take your time and have fun and look for those shapes in your favorite thing. Tell me down below what your favorite shape, language, image, animated thing is. That was succinct. Because I want to talk about it. I want to research it more. This is something I'm really excited about. Shape, language, composition, and storyboards. That's my newest thing I'm trying to get good at. That's my next hurdle because I haven't worked in enough departments. All right. So thanks for dropping by. Like, share, subscribe, all those things internet people ask you to do. And I will see you in the next video. Pew, pew, pew. Boop, 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 boop. Sound. I gotta stop with the line thing. I need to do all the big stuff first and then just play. We're gonna do some big stuff, play stuff. Do 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 boop boop.